is
Recording
wealthy.
in progress.
4 have some form of financial security. 15 have some assets, even though they're living on the edge. And a staggering 80 are in that rat race. They have to keep working or depending on their children for financial security.
And that is why we're inviting you to Couples and Money. Couples and Money is a course that has been developed for couples that helps them have financial conversations. They deal with issues like what you do with the hoarder and what you do with the spender. How do you support your in-laws? How do you even invest together? How can you even come up with financial goals so that you're growing together as a couple? These are such important issues that trip up couples, which is how they end up in poverty or not being able to really plan their finances together.
You don't have to be a statistic. We believe that every couple, given the right foundation, working in the right community, can actually make it and be part of that small percent of couples who really do well. And so we invite you, sign up for Couples and Money.
Hey. Hi everyone. Echo. I don't know if that's from my side. Oh, there you go. Hi everyone. Dr. Louis is who I am. I'm happy to see you, all of you here, all 87 of you. You can see the numbers are climbing. So there's a poll that you have to do as you join. So as you join in, just quickly fill out the poll. I can see 60 of you have already filled it out. So you can just fill in as you go on. There's some interesting questions there for us to just hear from you. Yeah, so you can call me Dr. Louis. I'm your host for the day, and I'm really excited about this topic. You know, before someone is saying they can't see the poll, that's Rose. Someone will be addressing that for you just now. I think someone from the team will be just pinning you just now. Yeah, so the topic today is really exciting for me. I'm really looking forward to hearing from the panel we have today. We have an interview, and also we have our guest speaker for today, Alex. So the talk for today is sponsored by Couples and Money, which is an online program by Pastor Rurii and Carol Wanjau. And yeah, I'm really excited to see and hear from what they'll be speaking about today. I remember the topic of black tax. I think there were those statistics we're hearing right now. And I used to just, shudder that I don't want to be those parents who levy black tax on their children. So that was before I did Couples and Money. So after Couples and Money, nowadays I sleep well at night. So I don't know how many of you are like me and you're looking forward for that to hearing more on investments. So the polls are ongoing. So please just put your what do you call it? Your answer there. So I have a question for all of you today. So if you had 100,000 Kenya shillings, that's $1,000. For those of you who are abroad, $1,000, and you knew your investment will never fail, where would you put the money? What business would you start? Your family relies on you. Where would you put the investments? So that's what I want you to put on the chat. So Persis is saying, if you don't see the poll, please click on the word poll on your user interface and it will pop up. So if you knew you wouldn't fail, and you had $1,000 US, that's 100,000 Kenya shillings, what business would you put that money in as an investment? Real estate, Erica, you guys are for sure. That's where you are experts in. Yeah, so you put your money where you're an expert in. I can see from Eric and Jemima. Bitcoin. Passes to say Bitcoin. before I put money in Bitcoin, I'll have to go in for a class on Bitcoin and understand how that thing works. Yeah. Circles, family. Yeah. Keep them coming in. Agribusiness, for sure. We are an agriculture economy in Africa. Food, people must eat. Albu and Sheila, you guys are my people. I think I will start a food kiosk. But I'd go down at the cost because that's where I grew up in. Guys, I know all of you, when you come to Mombasa or Kilifi, you want a place to eat nice seafood and things like that. I think I'll just start something like that and do deliveries. Yeah. Agri-business, bonds. Yeah. So you had 1,000. Those are really good ideas. I hope someone is just getting inspired. Yeah. You knew you wouldn't fail. A nail and beauty parlor. Who's that? Let me see. Nail and beauty parlor. Let me tell you a secret, Beatrice and everyone else. So I'm a pharmacist by training, and a business coach. Before I went to do pharmacy school, when I was asked what I want to do, that one gap here, I wanted to do hairdressing because my mom had a salon, and I knew we could make a chain of salons out of that business. But thank God or not thank God, I don't know. But we are where we are, and God is above all of it. So thank you for that. Agriculture, for sure. Tech, T-bills, really nice ideas there on investments. I hope the guest speaker is seeing this. I think he might be inspired even as he prepares for the presentation today. Yeah. Thank you for all those. Solomon, tech angel investing. Okay. Yeah, so spread that to guys who need 10,000 or $100 each, and see what will come out of that. Okay. Loaning, Eric. You'd start maybe your own Shark Tank, yeah, and invest and give people loans out of that. Yeah. Pig rearing. I hear pigs can eat everything, including your leftover food. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you for that. Really good ideas. You can keep them coming in. I can see we are how many? We are 140. The numbers, of course, will keep climbing in. So please, if you haven't done the poll, go to poll. Put your answers there. There's some questions, 3 questions. I think the highlight for us is how confident. So let's start with, have you done couples and money? And 64% of you haven't done. So that's really good because it means you're at the right place. Whatever you're discussing, you might be inspired and sign up for our program. Really life transforming program. How did you learn about couples and money? From our friends. God bless us for all these friends that we have, always looking out for us and sharing what they know. Thank you for that. Social media, 14%, other 10%. How confident are you with your investment plan for 2022? Pretty confident, 20%, average 62, it could go either way. Not at all, 20%. Thank you all for that. Please, if you haven't put in, I can see 100 and I think almost 80% of you have done the poll. So at this juncture, let me go back and see what more ideas are coming in. I think I still have 2 more minutes. Metaverse. Moredi needs to tell us what Metaverse is. Exciting things happening there. Connect to your someone is saying connect to your audio once you log in. Is that to me? Am I audible? I hope I am. Oh yeah, yes, someone just sorry. Yeah, I am. Yes, you are. All right, thank you. Someone is asking what's the time horizon for the investment? Stocks is beyond 12 months. Yeah, thank you for that. Stocks, you put that into stocks if it's beyond 12 months. That's a good. There's this thing about, when Jesus said we need to think like children. Yeah. So whatever, pops at your heart, no many questions, just where would that $100,000 or $1,000 go into? All right, thank you. So let me go to the second part of my assignment for the day. I think it's my great and singular honor to welcome all of you here today. Please send out the link to anyone else who you don't see here. You have a friend, that friend who owes you money, send them the link. The friend who, please send them the link. So it's my honor to invite the vision bearers of Couples and Money, our sponsors for the day. Pastor Rurii Wanjau is a best-selling author. One of his books has sold over 200,000 copies in 6 continents. That's an amazing feat. He's a motivational speaker and the lead visionary of Mavuno Church, the fast-growing movement of churches based out of Nairobi, with a presence in 10 different nations. Pastor Carol Wanjau is a trained marriage and family therapist and a successful author. Of several of our courses have been used by many of us. You all know Couples and Money, this course that you're in right now, and several other couples and families internationally have gone through the programs. Together, they are co-founders and directors of the several investment companies with over 40 years of coaching, teaching, speaking, and counseling between them, and that add investment as well. Their passion is seeing leaders and families lives being transformed as they discover their God-given purpose and destiny. And I think, by the way, I must have heard the word purpose from Pastor Rurii and Pastor Carol. I think that was the first time I heard that word. So please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and as we welcome Pastor Carol and Rurii.
Thank you, Dr. Louis. Thank you, everybody. We are so excited to be here this evening. And as you heard from Dr. Louis, we are passionate about helping people discover their purpose. And we're passionate about families. We're passionate about seeing people connect why they were created. And money is a big part of it. The Bible says money answers all things. And so part of our passion about financial literacy for families is because we understand there are many families who have a passion to change the world. They have passion to do big things, but that's where it stops. It stops with passion because they never have the ability to generate the income to achieve their dreams. And so, and then even the ones who do, when they get the money, because it has no foundation, the money comes and erodes their marriage. And so they end up rich and divorced. And so part of why we formed Couples and Money was just to be able to create a platform, to create a positive framework where people can talk safely about money, grow in their financial intimacy, and become able to achieve their dreams and purposes. So it's great to see so many of you logging in. I know there's still your friends who are logging in. Thanks so much for just inviting your friends for this. And today we have the privilege as we start. Well, first of all, let me just ask Carol if she has a greeting. Just looking really nice, by the way.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. It's so great to see you guys. We're really excited about just the talks that we have been having. If you did not join us last week we were talking about the 5 financial decisions that we need to be making in these uncertain times, these uncertain economic times. If you're in the East African region, and if you're in Kenya, especially because we're going to be having the elections coming up this year. Then today, I'm just so excited. I just love what Alex has to share. And for those of you who are new to these forums, we normally have these kinds of forums where, we do, free classes, free seminars that are there to enrich you as a couple and enrich you as a family. And so, this is just one of them. Next week, we're going to be having another one and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. But that is the whole purpose of this seminar, that we will be enriched as families and as couples. And our prayer is that at the end of this session tonight, you'll be better prepared for the year ahead.
Awesome. So we've got a great speaker tonight, and just before we invite him, we want to invite a couple who actually has had an experience with Couples and Money, just to share a little bit about their story. Excuse me.
Sorry.
So I want to just invite Emmanuel and Carol to turn on their videos, and welcome to Couples and Money. It's great to see you guys looking so sweet. I mean, you guys look like, Carol, that hairstyle makes you look like you're 16. I really like it.
It's a pro.
Thank you. I like your fro. I dig your fro. So really good to see you guys. And we've been friends for a while.
but we just want to hear a little about your story. And maybe I'll just go right into it and ask Pastor Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you are a relationship coach. You run this great a space where you help couples who are planning to get married and also couples who just need counseling. You really are, it's called iVow. And I know you're having a big impact. I mean, we see you all over the airwaves, we see you on TV all over the place. And it's really great to see you. Carol, you work in business in the corporate world as well. And so it's really great to have you guys here. But Emmanuel, tell us, how did you get into couples and money? You had a really funny answer when I asked you that question earlier.
First of all, thank you guys for having us. It's good to be here. It's good to see everybody on here, the facilitators, the ones who have gone through it, the alumni, but also the newbies who are hoping to get something through it. I highly recommend it. It has changed my wife and I's life. So yeah, but how I got into couples and money, it's actually a very funny story. Pastor M, you had asked me once to do it, and I told you, yeah. I came for the launch. I listened to it, and I knew you'd be busy with all the other people who have signed up, so I knew I'd escaped. The second time you told me, and I knew, I'm done. You know, once you get busy with the other people, I've escaped. So for season 3, you called me, I think it was after a trip. You had just come from I don't know where, and you said, so you're doing it. And I told you, I'll pray about it. I told you I'd pray about it. Then you called me a couple of days later and asked me, you know, will you do it? Will you do it? Are you signing up? Are you and Carol signing up? And I was just like, this guy is too much, Panad. What do I have to, what do I do? The truth is, we needed it badly. As in, it was one of those things we needed life support, you know, put clear to. But the truth is, the reason we weren't doing it is because we were broke. We were very broke. We were in debt and, you know, swimming. We really had a straw. Trying to get air, and we were drowning. So we needed to do it, but we couldn't afford it. Luckily, you were gracious and gave us some form of a payment plan, and we were able to do it at that time. And yeah, we are very, 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 very grateful and glad that we got to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know this whole story, so it's really interesting to hear it
that
from
you came in kicking and screaming.
But, I did, yeah.
And for you, Carol, what were you glad to be taking the course, or were you also kicking and screaming?
Well, I was kicking and screaming a little bit, but I knew we needed it, as he said, and we were definitely struggling, and I think we had wanted to do it for a while, but yeah, as he said, it was the cost was a bit restrictive for us. So the payment plans were really, we didn't have an excuse once we were made aware of the payment plans. And the first course was just, you know, the first class was just eye-opening, and if we stopped there, we would have gotten, you know, our money's worth. So yeah, it was, yeah, we're glad we took it.
Yeah, it was actually a time when at work she was very, very busy. So she was really stressed, and even the time to make time for a class was just too extra. Again, because of the finances, we were hanging in there in terms of the relationship. So yeah, so it was very difficult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so your relationship was also not in a good place. Now, in every couple, there are different risk appetites. And, you know, there's always one who has a high risk appetite and another with a lower risk appetite. Who is who in your relationship?
Well, I'm the one with the high risk appetite. You see him shaking his head.
Yeah.
He's hanging there with me. So I have the higher risk appetite. And I guess it just goes in hand with my personality. I'm a choleric. So for me, I'm a go-getter. I see opportunities and I jump for them. He is a phlegmatic, and he takes his time. He sees opportunities and wants to pray about it. Just like he wanted to pray about starting this course, he needed to pray about it and seek God's guidance on taking the course. So I'm the risk taker, and I guess it's had its positives and its negatives. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The negative is I don't know how to explain it. Maybe let me try this way. The first thing is because of our personality. My wife sees opportunities and is ready to jump on the opportunity. When she relays that information to me, I will think about it, babe. Let me think about it. My thinking about it can be, I'll give you an answer 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and that's okay. That's okay, because the world is not coming to an end. I mean, all things work out for the good of those who love the Lord. I mean, for real, But what that does for us is we missed so many opportunities because of that. And then now she can't go without me. And for me, I was struggling, like, you and your personality, I'm the man, I'm leading this home. You better wait for me to make the decision. So, now she's catching feelings like, and she's just feeling like she made a mistake in life, marrying, who's this guy? He has no ambition. He doesn't want to get better. But, it's just my personality is just, we have to think through this. And I'm thinking about it. Let me think and internalize it. I will bring you an answer on whether we need to do it or not. So it really did cause quite a lot of issues. But her being her, strong-willed, she did go for some things even without my consent. And one of the other negatives is that we ended up in some of the investments or some of the things that she pursued. And I say she pursued because I didn't agree with them. Let me clarify that. No, I'm just kidding. But some of the pursuits that we had ended us being in debt. And then just, I guess, caused even that situation where we were, trying to breathe with a straw because we are drowning, literally. And we can't even do something for couples and money, which I thought should be something we should be able to afford.
I mean, first of all, even as you share, I mean, you're laughing about it, which it's awesome that you can share your story for others to learn from. I know that it was not a laughing matter. And as I see people who are saying, I can relate, and oh boy, I mean, there are comments about that. I know this is a common story that many times there's a spouse might be feeling completely frustrated, feeling like we're missing so many opportunities. And then the other one is feeling resentful because they were not consulted. Of course, if they had been consulted, nothing would ever have happened. But then now, because the other one took the risk alone, when it goes down, there's no common ownership. And so I can just imagine the kind of pain that then that causes in your financial situation.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Can I just add a little something, because I feel like it's important. It might help somebody. In our relationship, throughout, with the exception of the first year, my wife has always been blessed with the better job and made the more money. So again, for me, with the income that I had, it also created some insecurity in terms of, why am I making this decision when you're the one who has the more money? And I struggled with that. But at the same time, again, because of the path that I chose, which is a path of ministry, you will not get much money. And I decided to focus on ministry. So what that did is also caused a huge strain between us, especially when it came to finances. So we couldn't have a decent conversation on finances at all. I mean, we can talk about anything else. We can talk about politics, which we both care less about, but we can talk about that, but not money.
Yeah.
wow.
So it
And you know,
became, yeah.
for many couples, money is a painful topic, you know?
Yeah.
And so even as you're talking, I know you found the same for you guys as you've counseled couples, that
Yeah.
really it's a painful topic. In fact, somebody asked, how do you overcome the pain and shame? I told you so. It's such a painful space, and it just piles up over the years. And so I completely relate with what you're saying. And I mean, thank you so much for just being so authentic and so vulnerable about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what changed after you did Couples and Money?
Wow. You want to take that?
Yeah, so when we took the class, we learned so much, starting with the first session of it, of I guess learning about your personalities and also your family background and how it influences how you make decisions on money. So that we were able to then get clarity on, okay, so this is why she's got a higher risk appetite, and this is why he does what he does. And we were also able to have a money date, the first one without, fighting and getting upset and catching feelings. I'm sure several people may know what a money date is, but just a discussion where you're able to talk about money objectively and, nobody getting upset. We were also able to come up with a plan to just get out of the debt that he said I put us into. So yes, so we were able to just get out of come up with a plan, and as we sit here today, we're actually 100% debt free. So we're very excited about that, and it's a huge load off our backs. And we've also able to come up with, we actually have an investment portfolio. We previously could not say that we did. And so we've learned, how to invest after taking Couples and Money. Another thing that we learned to do is, sure.
So let me say something about the investment portfolio, just to make it a little bit more, to bring context to it. Until we did Couples and Money in 2019, we did not even have a savings account. This is how bad our talking or conversation with money was. Now, that can be because we have also transitioned through many countries. We lived in the US first, then moved to Tanzania, and then moved to Kenya. But I feel the fact that we could not communicate about it, we could not be on the same page. We did not plan things together. It was, you do you, I do me, Taktano Kombele, and hopefully God for us all. So yeah, so I thought it would be important to share that. But now, where we are at, we actually have, a decent amount that we can say we want to do this, we want to do that, and some of the things we've learned in the class, the different investment portfolios that we could actually do, have helped us. Now we can pay school fees. We can go on holiday with our interest.
Wow.
So
that's like just mic drop right there.
I know, right? I know. So it's like two worlds, two worlds apart. The before and after. It's like darkness and light.
Wow.
And yeah, so it really changed. It's changed for us.
Yeah. Carol, you want to just say something? I mean, it just feels like such a like a before and after story. It's amazing. Maybe say something in conclusion.
Sure. So I was also saying, just as we were wrapping up, we were also able to have various income streams. Previously, before we took the class, it was just my job and his job, and if anybody lost their source of income, then we were finished. So that was a big one for us. It's something we're still working on, having at least, 3, 4, 5, 6 sources of income, streams of income. So, we always remember the illustration of a three-legged stool. If one, leg breaks, then the stool is on the ground because it can't stand on 2 legs. So And then another important part of, something that we learned in the class was how to teach our children about money. We look back at our experiences as children, and our parents didn't say much about money. We just watched things being done and we didn't understand what was going on. So we're intentionally trying to teach our children about, the value of money, how to invest and all of that. So this Couples and Money has just been life-changing for us, to be honest, because it was a big thorn in the flesh for our marriage. We will be married 20 years this March, and I'm not sure we'd be together if we hadn't sorted out this money issue. So yeah, it's the leading cause of divorce, and we thank God that we did not head in the direction of divorce, and we had the discussions, and we're in a better place now. So yeah.
Hey guys, I mean, your
Thank
story
you.
is
It's
just
amazing.
dramatic. It's amazing. And we give glory to God. I mean,
Yeah.
this is God's work,
absolutely.
obviously.
Mhm.
But also to you guys, we just say thank you for just sharing. I think this has been an inspiring story. It's been an encouraging story to our community as well, because every one of us is on this journey. And everyone who's listening is inspired, I believe. I can see from the comments. But it's also, I'm sure, been an intriguing story for those who are new to Couples and Money, just to tap into that story and to see, my goodness, look at this. Because I suspect that you're not the only ones who are in the position that you're in. So I think I just want to say, guys, let's give a big hand of appreciation for Carol and Emmanuel. Woo! Thank you, guys. May God bless you, and may your story continue to just bless people through generations. We really thank God for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
I just put a little plug. This is such an amazing story that we have had. We are still going to have the seminar that we're going to talk about. So if you know people who need to be here, who are not here, kindly just send them a link, just so that they don't miss out of the lessons from today.
Absolutely. So we want to transition, and thank you, Karen Emmanuel. We want to just transition, but even as we do that, if you are interested in signing up for Couples and Money, there's a link by Presses administrator, and so you can use that or just save it, copy it and save it, because it's the link. You just click on that, and basically Couples and Money is an online course. It's an 11-week course. It's all online, so you do all the classes on Zoom. You don't have to leave to go somewhere in the rain. You do it from the comfort of your home or wherever you are. So even if you're in different countries, that's one of the advantages, is that you can actually do it. And when you do it, basically, it takes you through a journey where you get to understand each other, but then also understand money and how it works, and how do you create a common goal for your money, so that you're working as a team and not against each other. There's nothing worse than a team that doesn't understand it's a team. And many couples are like that. I mean, you might find one of you is a star forward, but then the rest of the team doesn't support you. You will never score. It doesn't matter if you're Ronaldo. And so just being able to bring you all on the same side, so that you're both going in the same direction, you both understand what your goals are, you're working with one purpose. Statistics show, by the way, that any family that has created wealth generationally did it because husband and wife had the same plan. Look at any couple, look at any family, even in Kenya or Uganda, that has been able to pass money. And usually, by the way, it tends to be the Asian families. But the few African families that have done it, you're going to find that there was a very strong matriarch who understood the business and had responsibility in it, and was able to help mentor the children even as the succession was happening. Because of course, you guys tend to outlast us. So I think it's this thing about let me just make the money. You don't understand what we're doing. I'm just doing it on the side. It will not create generational wealth. It just creates actually generational poverty. And so please sign up if you're interested, and just follow the link on the screen. And if you have any questions, you can put them on the chat and we'll be able to answer them. Yeah. So we're going to have a little ad, and then we're going to go straight into our talk for tonight. I'm sure you're all excited and waiting for it, like we are.
Financial incompatibility is the leading cause of divorce and separation worldwide. Why is it that so many of us have bought into the lie that it is normal to be financially incompatible?
We have encountered so many couples who have come up with questions for us. Questions like, should we have a joint account? What do we do with a spouse who's a hoarder? and is, has held on to the money and is refusing to let go.
Or the spouse who's a spender and just wants to splurge whenever they make the money. What do you do when the husband earns a lot less than the wife? And we're talking about African husbands, sometimes can be very threatening situation.
Yeah, that can be. And as we reflected, on the questions that we were receiving from all these couples, we realized that we have been blessed, honestly, to have had mentors who are older than us, who helped us understand how to manage our money together and even how to grow our money together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why we came up with Couples and Money. It's a 10-week online masterclass that helps you develop financial compatibility, financial oneness. It's going to teach you how to make money as a couple, but it's also going to teach you to have common values so that when you make money, money does not divide you, but actually draws you closer together. And we've seen couples change. We've seen people understand how to grow resource together. We've seen couples understand how to have safe money conversations, and that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
We've seen couples being able to do great things that they only dreamt about being able to do previously before that.
Yeah. So if this sounds intriguing to you in any way, then we invite you to come to this mentoring program where you will be mentored together with your spouse on how to manage your finances together. So I encourage you, sign up for Couples and Money.
See you there.
Hey, thank you, Pastor Carol and Pastor M and Pastor Carol for that, and Pastor Emmanuel and Carol as well. Quite inspiring. I can see from the comments there's hope for all of us. Yeah. Alex, it's my job now to introduce Alex. But before I do that, I usually like to spar with Alex. I remember. If we are to form a WhatsApp group, I'll form with Carol because I'm the one who was also piling up the debts in the house, but for a good reason. Even Carol's debt was for a good reason, for investment. Yeah, but we had, if you don't invest together, the marriage can be pulled apart. So I think I was guilty of that. I remember once. Let me post a question here, but a question I'm asking myself: what bad investments sticks out as the most worst investment you've ever made? And at that time, why was it a good idea? It felt like a good idea. I'm doing this for us, an investment for us as a family, things like that. But then there's no coherence in it. But I thank God. So I've done a business. I wanted to bless my parents. They educated me, sold everything to educate me. So one of the things I did was start a business for them. But the business took. So I bought a lorry for them, part debt financing. So, but the debt was in my name, so I had to keep on paying. So long story short, did Couples and Money. Within 3 months of doing Couples and Money, we sold that lorry and found other ways of blessing our parents that we've actually been sticking on up to right now. And so there are many of you out there, many different reasons why you are into where you are financially. So I think Alex will be talking to us today, and I'm really looking forward to this. What investment decisions and business opportunities are there in an economic crisis of this year, for example, like COVID, in Kenya, the elections. I remember one of my best investments I ever did was in 2007, and all of you know what happened in 2008. So there was someone. He had a nice pharmacy in town, nice location, but for some reason he was selling it. He had dual citizenship, so he was leaving the country. So we probed why he was selling it. He had been hanging out with politicians, and for some reason, it's like they knew that the country was gonna go the way it went. Yeah, so he was fleeing. Us, we had never seen anything like that. So we just got together, put some money together, and bought a location. Long story short, 2 years later, he comes back. The country is fine. Wants to buy it for 5 times what we had put in. So, but long story short, it became one of the things that opened my path into financial, on the way we are to financial freedom. So Alex, let me welcome Alex today. Alex is an amazing gentleman, an expert in what he does. He's a partner at Moran Capital Management Limited. a successful private wealth management and investment advisory firm that focuses on developing a serene and secure lifestyle by co-creating focused financial plans for their clients and with and for their clients. He has been in the financial services industry for over 20 years. Alex, I can see there, is a renowned accounting, fund management, insurance, and global banking expert. He's married to Vera, and together they have 4 children. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Alex. Alex Rurii. Karibu, Alex. What are the investment decisions that you've ever done that were the worst? Yeah. And please, as you go in and just talk to us for what you want.
Right. Thanks, Dr. Louis. So I've done a couple of messed up things, and you know, so first of all, let me say I didn't lose money in places like the stock market, but I lost money in a place where I thought I was an expert, because purely the opportunity seemed to stare at me, and that's in farming. You know, and I was in all the way to my chin, committed and happy, and I know that people need food. People, you know, need to eat eggs. They need to eat chicken. So, and I had the money to invest. So, you know, I was feeling bullish. I live on a farm. Hey, what did I know about managing 24-hour business? You know, I didn't understand the business very well. You know, farming is, you know, in sometimes a 24-hour business. So, you know, I had not related electricity and chicken farming. You know, when KPLC decides to take away its electricity and I have my chicks freezing to death because the lights have gone off. And that was absolutely a nightmare, because what do you do in the middle of the night? You know, you've bought these nice lamps for warming up the chicks, and then at night the labor guy, the staff guy comes and tells me, hey, you know, there's no elec. I'm like, yeah. So how are we going to warm the chicks? You know, and I had started with such vibrancy. So I had so many chicks, and you know, these things are freezing to death, and I live in Limuru. It was not optimal at all. You know, my common sense was at the bottom of the pile. So, you know, that was terrible. And I then decided, no, I'm going to succeed. So many things kept going wrong, you know, and with my eyes open, I couldn't believe it, you know. And I piled on debt to try and make this thing, to show it up. And eventually it was fairly painful, but, you know, I guess it's like a master's. I got a master's in what not to do. Yeah, so that was my one sad mistake that I look back and I think, you know, sometimes you can be overly stupidly optimistic, but then you're not educated to handle that scenario. So that was me, and I look at it with such painful but joyful education. Yeah, painful experience but joyful education. Right. So with that,
Alex, you're not alone. I can see guys on the chat there just saying what they've been up to, and yeah, thank you for that lesson.
yeah.
You might be passionate in something, but you know, so that you know, utajua haujui, you know, move to how do you run a business, yeah, and to increase the odds of your success. Okay, yeah, thank you for that lesson. Yeah, thanks. Please go ahead.
I quickly learned, yeah. It was more expensive than my actual school fees in university, but you know, it was probably more beneficial because I got a lesson that I will not forget. Nobody could teach me that. I had sat with an expert and everything, and boy, I failed because, you know, I was listening with the intention to execute, not with the intention to understand whether it fit my kind of space. So I was too eager to succeed and not to learn. So even when the person was talking, I was not looking for, so what are the potential pitfalls I might face. I was looking at it more than from the potential income it can generate, and the way I was excited and I saw the big market. So I was a bit blinded, but I learned quickly to do a bit more forensic as to even my own abilities to manage this kind of enterprise. That's something that we don't look at. What's your own ability to manage that kind of enterprise? Not just your passion, but ability is also important. You know, do I have the time? Do I have the resources to take me up to profitability? If not, do I partner with somebody? I didn't think about those things. So I was being inundated with debt and, you know, dead chicken and, you know, more debt. It was a challenge, which I then learned that it's not only passion, it's also ability and experience. You need to combine all these things for you to succeed. Yeah. So maybe I can pick up on today's conversation then, Dr.
Please go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, and thanks for, as always, your riveting introduction. Sometimes I have to review the things you're saying just to make sure, you know, it will not be picked up that we have put in something that was really not there. But as you can imagine, being the person I am, strictly African, I stick to culture and say the truth by all means. So yeah, this space I really appreciate to be in, because I talk about what I've experienced. I've been in the investment industry now 23 odd years, and we've picked up some things that are, you know, we see helping our clients, and we are happy to share because as I can hear some people mention, I also didn't know some of these things much as I was a trained investment banker. So I knew how maybe to do some sides of, you know, you start from your accounting, you understand your corporate finance, you do, you know, all these things, you know them, but from a personal perspective, what do you do? So we came up and from our own experiences and also working with clients in different areas, we figured what is necessary in order to have a successful investment experience, you know, over those years. So maybe as always, just so that I can also follow the thought process, I'll just share something here. I hope I have some sharing rights. Okay, yes, I do have. And I think today our theme, if I can just start here and put it on our sharing mode here. I believe you can see this, Dr. You can see my screen. Yeah, you're okay. We are okay.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we are looking at and welcome everybody, and thank you for as always joining in this discussion. Thank you to Pastor M and Pastor Carol for really giving us this opportunity to share what we have and what we can share in terms of the knowledge we've accumulated and experienced in a forum which we believe really changes lives. As Dr. Louis has said, our objective is really to see that we create sustainable investments for families so that they can pursue their passions, in whether it is within the Christian fraternity or whatever business engagements you have. You can pursue them with passion, knowing that you have a sustainable investment which can give you what we are all looking for: a passive income, a reliable income that can support the family in this and in future generations. So as we had a chat with Pastor Carol and the team, we were looking at business opportunities as well as investment opportunities in 2022. We know the cycle we are in, and you know, I will have this conversation bearing in mind we do have a global audience, so you know, just bringing in everybody. I do intend to take no more than 30 minutes, so that again, it's different time zones. So some people ahead, some people behind. So just to make sure we catch up on time. As you can see there, Moran Wealth, we are a family office, and we really engage in wealth management just to help families put in order their financial affairs. Now, what are the global themes? So when you look at investments, you don't exist in a vacuum. You've got to look at what are the internal as well as external factors that could affect your investments. And today, as we talk about investments, I just want to bring attention to some of the things that we never look at, but they exist. In past presentations, I've talked a lot about the pandemics and the cyclicality of crisis. And these are things that obviously keep coming up, and they will keep coming up because this is the cycle we are in. And this pandemic is a very key theme, because you are aware that today, we thought it would be over by by 2020, then 2021, it was still here, 22, it's still here. Where are we in the cycle? Of course, we have more vaccines now, but there's a vaccine rollout. It's a bit slow, but there's a rollout of vaccine. The question is, how does this affect the rest of the world? One could think it's not a major issue, but those who've paid a lot of attention to what's going on, there are major supply chain and logistic inefficiencies. The pandemic has affected the labor market significantly. So, people are not able to get to work and produce in time. This means that there's less commodities going around. That means the prices are now going up. And even as the goods can come out, again, you see all over in the shipping industries, they can't manage the number of containers that are pending and hold up in, at the docks. So that pandemic, beyond causing issues medically, has caused a supply chain and inflationary problem, which is at a globally, interrupting scale. So, this is a major topic around the world, because a lot of people think, is it really something we think about? But if you find that commodities are not able to move around quickly, that means, you have inflationary pressure, because people cannot get the goods they want. So you have money chasing very few goods. And once that happens, commodity prices go up, and everybody's affordability, and savings go down, because then you are trying to buy goods which are just now heavily priced. So you've seen inflation, and you'll see sustained inflation driven by the pandemic, because it has affected supply chains very, very severely. Not to mention, I don't know, but Dr. Louis, I don't know whether you are a KFC visitor at some point over Christmas. We had a shortage of potatoes. We don't know whether it was one of those supply chain problems, but you can see it very close to you. It's coming up in various ways, but mainly one of the themes is obviously inflation. We are going to see prices of goods going up because commodities are not moving around efficiently. There are people who are vehicle manufacturers, phone manufacturers. A lot of people in manufacturing just can't get their things on time, and this is affecting deliveries. And of course, that's a problem. So this is a key theme. It's something to watch out, even as you're thinking of business. Remember, you've got to look at pricing and those kind of things. Of course, we have, the GDP growth. What is the expectation around the world? Of course, there are places which have seen very good performance into last year. We thought coming into 2022, you'd see things shoot up, but then we had Omicron show up somewhere in October, November, and that affected GDP growth revisions, most downwards. But then you'll see some pickup this year, because what was expected was probably Omicron would create, another shock in the system. But what we have seen, obviously, is that it's not as big a shock, because the vaccines which are already in the market are able to control that variant. So although we expect, it's expected there will be a number of variants coming out, the feeling is that now the vaccine and the rate of development, people are being able to catch up with the vaccines. Although I hear now you can't go to Miami without a booster. So I don't know whether you've gotten a booster shot. You might not be able to go. I don't know at which point. Nowadays, anytime you're getting into the restaurant, you've got to show your vaccine certificates. We know the drama around that, but this is all affecting GDP because the productivity of economies is being affected. And it's something to think about even as you're making investment and business decisions. Which sector am I in and how is it being affected by the pandemic and this inflation? Of course, followed with that is global debt. Now, this is in Africa, it is at very significant levels. And what does that mean? You drill it down, it drills down to the fact that you're going to find, governments wanting to increase taxes as one of the ways to get some, revenues to meet these tax burdens. I know down here in Kenya, of course, we had a small break from China and seeing how we can restructure this debt. But the main issue around debt, of course, is the amount of influence, IMF and all the other institutions have on our economy. For example, we have fuel prices go up because we have to meet debt burdens. So taxation obviously is linked heavily to debt, and these are things that you have to look at. You may think it doesn't affect you, but the debt that Kenya takes affects our fuel prices, it affects your input prices, it affects everything because we have to figure how to pay this stuff. We also have climate as a major concern when you're doing your business. We've seen, obviously, how does this work? There's opportunities maybe because of climate, as we mentioned, you find more and more to reduce the impact on the ozone. Of course, people have gone into electric vehicles, electric trucks. We are looking at more efficient ways of transport and those kind of things. And what opportunity comes in because of these kind of things. So those are themes that you need to think about whenever you're doing business and investment decisions. And finally, also there's security that you have to think about. Right now you can see, and we'll touch that, in terms of where is Kenya, where is the rest of Africa, where is East Africa, where is the rest of the world, and what's happening from a security perspective. How does it affect you? There are people who are benefiting from what is happening in other regions and others are suffering. And how does that affect your business? What kind of decisions do you need to make? And are there opportunities presented by that scenario there? Of course, just looking at Africa, it's really the world's largest free trade zone. We of course look at the opportunity to bring one regional bloc together and create $3 trillion worth of cash flow moving around, and it's supposed to be a very big trading bloc. There's a lot going on there, but we are still having a few issues even as you look at it. But those issues sometimes present opportunity, logistical issues and those kind of things. You can see the expectation. Last year we had about 3.5% GDP growth. This year it's expected to just maintain below, just the 4%. In 2022. So there's not much that's going to change because, as you can see here, there's a lag in terms of the growth of GDP. The growth, GDP is gross domestic product. It's this total output of the economy. I mean, like how much we have all produced. It's a productivity measure, although there are some contradictions to it in terms of they measure more around the consumption. But the GDP, which you could say is supposed to be productivity, it might not move too fast. And why? It mirrors what's happening around the world because of the pandemic. Unlike other places, obviously in the West, we have a slow vaccine rollout. I know the WHO representatives in Africa have been having a fit over it, that the slow vaccine rollout means we can't get to work as fast as possible, and we get sick a bit too frequently. And these two things, that you can't go to work, so there's low labor productivity and you're having high medical bills, those are two things that mean that you can't increase productivity because we are a highly labor intensive market. So this is an issue that's going to keep weighing on us until we have a strong vaccine rollout plan. Of course, we have heavy debt, which means taxation is also very high, and therefore the amount of disposable income people have to put into business or expenditure is still not yet very high. And then you have poor infrastructure, which means efficiency, logistics are still very, very labored. You have high costs on transportation, storage is unreliable because of power supply. So these challenges, you can see that. But as I keep mentioning any one of these issues, again, remember, challenge always presents opportunity. So even as we go into the discussion of opportunity, remember these same challenges present opportunity. And then we do have what we call political fragmentation, or various groups keep fighting in various corners. So you find that this political fragmentation creates unrest, and unrest clearly does not create a good business environment, good investment environment. We'll touch a bit more on that. We can see health services, of course, are not supporting our pandemic scenario anyway. In some countries, it's done well. In some, it's really a struggle. So this is also a lag, because poor health services mean an unhealthy population is an unproductive population. So if people are spending a lot of time unwell, then this is obviously creating a lag. It is seen purely a lot because around water, sanitation, and these kind of things, access to medical services, cost of medical services, all these things means that the population is still unhealthy. And obviously access to quality education is also another issue that is lagging Africa. So these are all factors which mean you can't pick up as fast as you should. If you are talking of education services at the level probably where Kenya has, and the rest of Africa is at that level. And as you can see in South Africa and some various areas, Rwanda has done very well with education. You see that those kind of developments mean the economies pick up very, very fast, and it's sustainable. So those are some of the challenges. However, the ones who will be driving growth are commodity-dependent economies. People like Nigeria rely on selling oil. So cost of oil is going to go up. So you of course expect Nigeria to see a bumper harvest, Zambia on their copper, and Ghana on their gold. So all these prices are going up, and we expect that to mitigate the current challenges and help with economic recovery. While in East Africa, one of the benefits is obviously we are a service-driven economy, which means today, because of technology and the ability to work from home, we have not been as severely impacted as if we were industrial economy. So we have the advantage that obviously we are a service-driven economy, so a lot of technology can be done from home, a lot of work can be done from home. So that has helped cushion. Again, the services are easier to recover than manufacturing areas. So this is good for East Africa. And obviously, you will see some quicker recovery in that area than you will see in other places. This is supported by the information here. I know not everybody wants to consume statistics, but it's just good to throw them here every now and then. If you look at, for example, East Africa, Last year, the projections were 2.1% growth in Burundi for GDP. And you know, much as they've been impacted, they still expected to be about 1.8 and recover in 2023 2.1. So you can see that there's an expectation, at least by the time Omicron checked in round about the end of September, October there was a downward revision, but people feel that between this and next year, between 2022 and 23, there will be recoveries. So even as you're looking at going into a business or investments this year, much as there could be a slight drop, you know, if you look at Djibouti, you expected it would be around 8.1. By the end of the year, they expected 6.4. So, you know, there are places where you can see there may be some quicker growth because of, as I said, are they you know, commodity economy? Are they service economy? What is it they're doing? So even as we are looking at investments, we are always looking at what kind of economy and how quickly will it recover. So you want to pay attention to, even as you look at the East African economies, what is this country dependent on? What kind of economic activities go on? And how easy is it for that country to recover? As you're looking at, maybe you're somebody who wants to look at diversified investments in Africa, in East Africa, you want to ask yourself, what is the main business and how quickly will they recover from the current pandemic? So those are things that we look at and that kind of thing. So why I'm talking about this is to combine this fact that obviously income is what really builds your net worth, what my friend Pastor Emmanuel was talking about. How are you going to grow your net worth? It's a matter of both active and passive income. Active income requires you to be in business or employment. And you're asking yourself, okay, what are the opportunities for business? What are the opportunities for investment, even as I'm in employment? So we are looking at the business, which creates the active income, as well as the investments, which create the passive income, and looking at how are those going to be affected and what opportunities exist, and how will all these assets be affected, or where should I be? Because when we are constructing a portfolio, we look at all these aspects, external and internal, on how they impact the value of these assets. That's why we are saying, okay, how quickly do the assets recover? Because if you are in government bonds, probably there is a defensive strategy, so you won't have so much of a problem. So in terms of strategy, you need to have a defensive strategy around now, and you need to be in bonds. But we'll also be evaluating, should you be in inflation adjusted bonds, which tend not to be treasuries. But you know, it's good to know that there are instruments which are defensive, and we'll be looking at them. So investments obviously generate income, just as business generates income. So the whole idea of this conversation is, where would income come from in this year? As we look at that, I keep to this quite often, because I say investments and all these activities we are doing are for generating income, and what income does is manage expenditure. So even as you're making decisions as to investment this year, into business opportunities this year, what you're trying to answer is, how will I meet this expenditure? So the first thing is to ask yourself, what is my expenditure for this year or for the coming year? So that even as I'm making decisions on investment or in business, and how it's affected by the global scenarios and the local scenarios, it is a matter of you looking at how will it respond to managing this expenditure, your contingent expenditure. That means your reserves. How will they be affected by the economic activities globally and locally? Your operational expenditure, we've talked about commodity pricing going up. So do you need to provision higher amounts because you know, your fuel will go up, your domestic expenditure will go up because of supply chain interruptions? as we are seeing now, significantly around fuel prices. We are now, we started at about 110 somewhere, somewhere in last year. We have already gone into round about 130, 127 now. So you can see there's already, a significant increase in fuel prices, and fuel tends to affect all the other commodities because transportation, manufacturing, storage, generating electricity, all these things are fuel driven. And for that reason, they affect your bottom line. So how has all this affected your bottom line? And from your strategy to invest, are your investments going to grow at a faster rate than inflation? That means this is not a period to just hold cash, because inflation is actually going to be going much faster than your deposit rates in a bank. So is it the time I should be holding cash just sitting, or should I be looking for investments? I would say it's time you should be looking for business and investments, which will essentially be growing faster than the inflationary rates. Obviously, that is where the growth comes from. And you think, okay, where do I need to put my investment for growth purposes to fund future expenditure? Okay, and those opportunities, when you talk about business, I keep saying, find a problem worth solving. You create your economic system as Dr. Louis was talking about, him and this opportunity he got. He found a problem worth solving. Today, distribution of medical services is not as efficient as it should be. Access to medical services is not. So is this a solution you can provide? Of course, Daktari provided a solution. Meet as many people to find out about the businesses and activate your networks. Even as we look at the opportunities, you'll see that some of the opportunities require you to build your networks, to look at supplying equipment and those kind of things. They require you to activate your network. I find a lot of people could be sitting with influencers in decision making, and they don't bring out the fact that they are looking for a business opportunity. You're happy to have a drink and enjoy with your boys, and you're not telling them, boss, I need to make a penny. Where is the opportunity? You need to speak up and activate your network as well. You need to volunteer to gain new skills. Maybe you need to retool, retrain. So these are things that you need to do, as well as taking online surveys to get data. Today, we are really data driven. So you need to be able to take data and help yourself get the decisions you need driven by data. So these are the opportunities to make income. And even as you are looking at the business ideas and these kind of things, you want to get data so that it can support your decision making. And sometimes one of the ways is to volunteer to work somewhere, and you will see what data they're gathering, and you can get the information. And even then, you can still sit and participate in blogging and this kind of things. Even as you're looking for business opportunities, these are things that you can obviously be doing, one to gain information and the other one to generate an income. So these are opportunities which are there, but we can dig into where should you start. Even before I go into those opportunities, is where should you start? Don't just jump into a business because the opportunity looks like it's presenting itself. If you are in the 65 to 80 year category, that decision to get into business is different from the guy who's at 18 to 45. Ask yourself, where are you in the investor life cycle, even as you're looking at the business? Because if you enter a business at 65 to 80, which requires a while for it to mature, heavy manufacturing and this kind of thing, then you will be ill-advised to be doing that at that point, because at this time you need a business which is generating current income, versus this individual who's sitting here and can be in a business that requires a bit of time to pick up. This may be a time that the opportunity has presented itself to get into the business, but it will take 2-3 years before it generates a return, or 5 years. Is this the kind of space you should be getting into, dependent on your investor life cycle? How old are you? Where are you in life? And those kind of things. So even as we are discussing this, please put that in mind, that you need to ask yourself, it's not just that the opportunity has presented itself, but also your ability and skills to do the business is something that you should look at, dependent on obviously where you are in your life cycle. You don't want to start, of course, KFC. What's a guy for KFC who started his business at the 70s and it's doing very well. But it's not everybody who starts a business at 70 and can wait for that long to start a global franchise. You may want to look at something that generates current income, and that's very important to think about. So just stepping into where we see business opportunities in this cycle, obviously one area where business opportunities are presenting itself, and these are defensive areas. So at this time when we are in a crisis, the main theme you need to have when you're making investment decision is you need to be in an industry which is defensive. Let's define a defensive industry or a defensive business. It means that in the market cycle, either the customer, the demand is inelastic. That means the people must consume, or the payer is not having any cash flow problems, can pay regularly. So market is not shrinking, payer can pay. Those two things you need to have very, very clear when you're making decisions in a crisis. You need to make sure that this is a market which is either growing or sustaining itself, or the payer can actually pay despite the crisis. So that's why you find a lot of times it tends to be in infrastructure, because government must pay or should pay. I mean, they do have the capacity to either borrow, raise taxes, or various other ways they can do their funding, and so they will pay, and you want to make sure that you're in a place where it must be completed. So infrastructure is one of those places. The roads, they need to do the electrical distribution, the various things that support the real estate, which government must support. What is being done by government in terms of developing infrastructure. So that is an environment which tends to be defensive, because government must pay, and that's a good place to be in. The other area that obviously tends to be resilient is agriculture. Folks must eat, right? Folks must eat. So what you want to do is obviously be more efficient and get more value out of it. And that's what I had my friend Louis and a few others discussing and saying, can we do value-added agriculture? There are areas where you are doing value-added agriculture. I see now people doing it on tea. I see on various areas the packaging is improving. People are doing spices in large scale, exporting to different markets. And these kind of things, and preserving and those kind of value addition activities mean that the crop can stay longer. So it's not just harvesting and the food rots. There's always the drying and the dehydrating and those kind of things that people are doing now, so that the food can last longer, so that you're not losing crop. I see this happening with mangoes. In Machakos or Kitui. I see a lot of people doing this in Moranga. I see around the country there's something about avocados and wanting to look for new markets. I see cocoa beans. There's a whole new we want to do it in our own economy, value add here, so that we increase the price. What is going to give you that new business opportunity is how you can add value. I see some people who are now exporting coffee to Australia and doing very well. So what can you do? Value add and export it as a finished product. You can get a lot more value than selling it in raw fashion. It tends to be one of the areas that is creating a lot of opportunity, and you don't have to be the producer, you can be the value add investor. You can also get into services. Now, this is a very wide area. As we've seen, the pandemic has meant that, those delivery companies like your Amazon, they've just gone into a whole new level. And even locally, your Jumias, your people on the motorbikes and these kind of things, home delivery has become a major opportunity. So whether it is food, whether it is, clothing, your technology, your gadgets, people want them delivered home, of course, partly due to the interruption by the pandemic, but also now people have learned a lot about convenience. So around convenience, what can you do to make things convenient? Technology today, if you're gonna be leading any business, you've got to think about how technology will make it easier to get to customer, or how you can use it to give you more data, less cost. How can you look at a business and bring the whole fintech space is a major space. It's one of the most successful industries during this period. You don't have to be told how much Safaricom is making in Kenya due to purely this scenario here, financial services. This is something that is a big time business. There's also mass customization now. A lot of people want things which are customized to themselves, whether it is clothing, whether it is their vehicles, whether there's a lot of need to customize. People are not just taking anything off the shelf. So what can you customize? What can you value add in the service area? So these are things that you want to be engaged in, and it's a major, major opportunity, and you can do it from wherever you are. The opportunities are immense. There's medical research and care services. The other day I was walking by Aga Khan, and I could see volunteers required, or people required to work in doing some research for COVID. There's a lot of medical research that needs to be done, and the opportunities are immense. I have now been involved in looking a lot of at people who are engaged in care services as well. This is an area which is showing up as a big opportunity as well. Even we know it has been there in the West, home care and that kind of thing. Now, a lot of people are facing critical care but cannot go to hospital. They need critical care, but because of obviously the pandemic and those kind of things, they need to be managed in isolation. So what can you create around that? Are you the transport person who can transport these people to go and manage these people who are in home care? Are you the real estate person creating the home care opportunities? Are you the nurse creating the opportunity to have palliative care at home or different kinds of care? Where are you fitting in to take care of people? These opportunities are there, and they're immense, presented this particular cycle, because people will stay at home. People obviously will be looking at, we have elections later in the year in this country. So, you can't move around sometimes depending on how the elections pan out. We hope they are really peaceful. And in various areas, we have interruptions as well in Ethiopia and other places. They have the Tigray issues as well. So people cannot move about freely. So what can you actually provide in terms of services? We see, in the US and in other areas, there's, there was a tornado, there are earthquakes. So what kind of services can you present at this particular time when there's a crisis? Because you could be the person who calls all the people, coordinates these teams. There is business to be done in that space. Finally, in the opportunities space in business, of course, you look at the regional integration. There's a large market which is coming up because of areas like AFCTAD, and maybe Daktari, you'll give me a heads up on this timing at some point, so that I also pay attention to time. But the regional integration will create a lot of opportunities because it will create a large market. So how are you preparing yourself? Because this is the $3 trillion market we are talking about. How can you present your wares in other places in the market? So even as you're looking at interruptions in your local environment, sometimes they are not there in your next door neighbor. As I said, this is an election year, let's say in Kenya, or there are issues in another economy where you are. Why don't you push product in another market? Why don't you present a service while you're sitting in your home and presenting services in another market? So these barriers will be removed by this integration. And it means, we can be sitting at home and providing a service even in different markets around the world. So these are things that you want to look at as business opportunities, not just sitting and looking at your local economy, but look at the global economy. And today you can be sitting in Kenya and providing services in the UK. You can be sitting here, you in the UK providing services in various areas. So the borders are really reduced. So just look at, Africa as one market, what opportunities can you do, as well as the global service market, what can you actually do? Of course, these business opportunities I have mentioned are affected by this labor disruption and the supply chain disruption. So you need to think and plan around that fact. While it is an opportunity, it does present some challenges as well. We've highlighted the unrest in Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, Somali, various areas, and also issues around climate, in various economies. So these are challenges to businesses. So anytime you are thinking of setting up a business, you want to understand all these environmental issues and political issues so that, you don't get into an environment where things just don't work and you lose your investment. You also want to think about the rising debt levels and what does that mean towards taxation and what is the government policies around wherever you're going to, invest, and also about how they're going to maintain the levels of interest rates regimes. So right now, of course, governments need the interest rates maintained low because that is definitely good for them. They don't need to pay much. But for you as an investor, that's not a good thing because then the rates are low. You have to look for other opportunities. You've got to go to private equity and those kind of things. So when the government is insisting on keeping rates low because their debt levels are high, then it affects you in terms of you can't be keeping cash in the bank because it's going to be eroded in value. You have half a bread because inflation has taken away the value. So you want to think about that and pay attention to that. Of course, and rising oil prices means that commodity prices are going to increase. It could be a good thing for guys like those in Nigeria, but then to you who's a price taker and you don't have commodities, then that's something you need to think about in terms of your investment. Is it growing faster than the rate at which inflation is getting higher? So some of the business opportunities are in those areas, your medical areas and that kind of thing. Technology is driving a lot of opportunity. So think about it even as you're planning your next decision. But I want to just, highlight some of the opportunities and how can I access this? Because it's not just a matter of the opportunities there, but how can I access it? What does it take to access? Of course, you see maybe time deposits, as I'm saying, and you look at the 4 to 10% range, you can access at 5,000 shillings. It is really investment opportunities you can access immediately and start saving immediately. The risk levels are low and you can walk in, walk out. Most probably, slightly lower for the bank, lower than mutual funds. But that's why I'm saying you might want to think, do you want to hold cash? You are more likely to get a better return from mutual funds in those kind of environments. Again, still, you can start at 5,000 shillings. You want to think about bonds because these ones will give you a regular income. And they start at 8%, but you can see infrastructure bonds here at 12.73. You can see corporate bonds at 16%. These are opportunities which you can get at for 2 years, you get quarterly income And that's good because there's a pandemic. You want regular income. I had Pasi talking about it. A lot of people don't know you can create a passive income, and you can make very good returns. You get your 16% and those kind of things. You can obviously see the opportunity this year to get into stocks. Obviously, it's expected that they would pick up and give you a higher rate than your time deposits. Think about your portfolio and where they fall in. Is it your growth portfolio? Yes. Then you have this kind of stocks. But if it is your passive income, then you want stock portfolios that are giving dividend. So you need to analyze based on your objective, your goal. If this is a passive income, then you need a portfolio which is invested in high dividend stocks. But if it is a growth portfolio, you want to look for those ones you can see actual growth on the share price. And these are things you need to think about, and which ones are these? And we can help you every now and then to review that portfolio. Get an advisor to give you that information. There are various alternative investments which we obviously can share, which start from your private equity. I'm sure people want to have a conversation around crypto. It has done well. Right now, we are having challenges. You can see there are challenges. But always I say, if you're very bullish about it, allocate a certain percentage on your portfolio that you can take an aggressive strategy on. So if you want to go into alternatives, if you want to go into cryptocurrencies, you want to be able to tell yourself, how much exposure can I take on my portfolio? So the returns in that will obviously be upwards of 30%, but the volatility can also be very, very high. So you want to sit with a professional, and we can tell you the difference between the various alternatives and derivatives, and which one is available for a certain part of your portfolio that you're willing to expose yourself to. Of course,
Alex,
you have got, yeah.
Just to catch you, so we need to wind in the next 5, but even
Yeah, I think
then we take on questions. Yeah,
I think this is the second last slide, so I should be done in 2 actually. So thanks, Dr. So these are various investment opportunities. The timelines are known, so that you are able to create a portfolio which responds to your actual investment strategy. And you can sit and review, and when you go to the couples and money class, you'll be able to see how each one of these fit into your portfolio. We may not go into every intrinsic detail about them, but when you sit there, you will be taught about portfolio construction. You will understand how you create your passive income versus your long-term goals, and how you create your short-term strategy. So when you go into this class, I would really recommend that you do. You will be able to understand how each of these fit into your portfolio and the ability to access it. There is a fund that obviously is, the alumni of Couples and Money are able to invest in, that takes into consideration all these investments. So you get access into all these kind of things, and whether it's as soon as possible, you'll be able to do that. So as I was mentioning, Dr. I was just winding up there, and I'd like to put a pause there. I've taken as much time as I think I should, but I hope it has given a glimmer of the areas that people should be looking at this year, and what are the opportunities that are presented and what one can participate in. So maybe I'll hand over back to you, Dr.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Thank you also for waiting our appetite on this. And it's really something, yes, we delve deeper into Couples and Money classes, and also in the training, sort of the financial advisory that we get post training. Yeah, so thank you for that. A round of applause for Alex as I invite Pastor M to take over with the Q&As. And also thank you for giving us 15 more minutes, participants. Thanks.
Thank you, Alex. And I suspect we probably wouldn't have too much time for questions today, but this has been so informative, just like last week's webinar. And I know that people are taking away a lot from here. So I was just trying to figure out what question to answer. Maybe just if you could pick one here. And Dr. Louis, I don't know if you saw one that would be a good one. I'd seen a couple before. So I was just trying to check if somebody consolidated those for me. But first of all, just to say, Alex, you talked about the fact that you burnt some serious money in your chicken business, and I think one of the questions had been, did you ever go back to chicken, or how did you become rich after that? How did you recover?
Right. I've got to tell you, I learned a specific secret that helped me recover. I then decided to invest in myself in what I am good at. So I decided to stick at. There's also the bit of passion, ability, experience, but also control. What I could control. I was very keen on looking at that. So instead of being in a space that I couldn't control, there is no business that doesn't have a billionaire. All businesses have a billionaire. I say that all the time. Charcoal, we know our friends. Yes. Trash collection, we know. Electricity, I mean, any business has a billionaire. And I realized, one, I had spread myself too thin. I didn't have the capacity to manage. I had also not estimated the resources required to run that enterprise to profitability. I didn't look at it. I looked at the resources I had versus the resources it needed. So that was a mismatch. I underestimated the cash required to profitability. It would probably have taken 4 years to be successful. By 2 years, I was sweating. So the reality is I underestimated the resources in time, money, everything. Much as the opportunity was very clear, the resources were not very clear what is needed. There was also things that I didn't estimate, like the regulatory changes and those kind of things. So I figured then I need to be in a space where I know how it works. And therefore I invested in myself to understand that. And that helped me. For maybe a year later, I had recovered from the mess I had gotten myself in. Plus, I happily disclosed to those who needed to know and help me how to get out of the mess. I was able to discuss with the bank to give me a bit more time to fix my scenario. Those kind of very important discussions had to happen for me to show myself out of the mess I had dug myself in.
Wow. I love that, because I think making a mistake is one thing, and I think that's okay, because as you say, that was a PhD you got, that you paid for it. But the beautiful thing is you caught your lessons, because one of the lessons you got is you had spread yourself too thin. Too many of us do that, is that you spread yourself thin, you're running hustles, which I remember one thing that my father-in-law used to say is, some of us run hobbies and we call them businesses. So what you're doing is just circulating money, but you're not really making money. And the reason is because you really don't have the time to put into whatever it is, and you're not being able to put the structures to help that succeed. There's somebody who had talked about the fact that, and maybe we won't get into too much space, but it's interesting because somebody talked about the fact that secondhand cars seem to be retaining value, but land is hard to sell. So he's finding he can flip his CRV and even get the same value he bought it for. But he says right now it's very hard to sell land. And I think there's it's asset classes, isn't it? It's understanding the asset class that you have, and that in seasons like this, selling some of those. You want to say something about that? Selling something like land, it's a long-term purchase. So when you're investing in land, it's not as quick a turnaround.
Cash flow. So right now, what you need is cash flow. So land is a capital gain space. vehicle is a capital gain space, but one is for cash flow, the other one is for holding. It's a holding asset. So, you know, you find that car I can buy today, the demand means that small price change, you know, I'm able to flip it frequently and get, but the process of selling a piece of land means that, you know, I need, I mean, how many pieces of land can I sell in the shortest time possible, right? So that in itself means that, you know, I would rather be flipping more to keep my cash flow. And right now we are in a market cycle probably where people are not buying land as frequently. You know, there's a time when, you know, you just kata, you split up you subdivided your plot, and the moment you advertised, it went. Now, right now, there's a bit of uncertainty as to that space. Of course, there's also the lands office has been going through some restructuring, which means the rate at which you can process your documents is also slow. But for a vehicle is much faster. So there's just those various influences that are saying that car is easier to turn around, much as the margin may be lower, but I can sell 2, 3, 4 before you even get a buyer for the piece of land. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Alex, what you've done is really whet our appetites. And I can see a lot of people on the call saying, my goodness, we should have had more time for those last 2 slides. There's just a lot that we can learn. The reality is we cannot finish this topic. But I really believe that what you've done is whet our appetite and just give us a sense of, my goodness, there's a lot to learn. And I think one of the things I've learned from you and I'm hearing from you is the importance of financial literacy. The reason you burnt your fingers in chicken is not because there's no money in chicken. It's because you didn't have the time or the necessarily, you didn't have the ability to invest in enough education to get you to become, they're billionaires in it. And so the issue may not even be for the particular sector, but are you educated enough that you can take advantage of it? And then secondly, are you at the place where you and your spouse can actually, she can support you or he can support you? So the money you jump into, you have somebody back watching your back and you're working as a team as opposed to as cross purposes. And so I know you've taken couples and money, Alex, and I think I always say it's amazing for me that you did it because you invest, you're a wealth advisor for wealthy families in this nation. But again, for me, what that taught me is you're never too old to learn. And it's always, you never know too much to learn. And there's always a hunger. We always must have a hunger to keep increasing our knowledge and to work together as a couple. So maybe I just ask that as our time is coming to an end, maybe we can just give a big Zoom clap and thanks to Alex. Thank you so much, Alex of Moran Capital. I'll make a pitch and just say that one of the things that's a treat for this community is we actually get free financial advisory services for the alumni of this course, courtesy of Moran, which Alex heads. He has a whole team there. And like I said, we couldn't afford them because they give this services to high net worth individuals. But anybody who is a graduate gets to benefit from their services, as well as other services that we've been able to leverage, because together we can do more. And so it's just to let you know that these are just some of the benefits. It's not just a class, but it's an entrance to a community. So thank you, Alex, and it's really great to have you this evening. Now, thank you guys for being here. Let me just very quickly in the next couple of minutes just mention how you can sign up. Persis, our administrator, is going to put the link again for those of you who came a little late or didn't catch it. The cost of the class is it's $190 US or 19,000 shillings. That's an offer that we do at the time of our launch, which is about now, because we want to launch at the end of this month. And it basically entitles you to video content. You get a login, you do video content, everything's online. It entitles you to be able to attend the classes. It entitles you to coaching because you get the coaching and mentors. And then it accesses you into the community, because after that, we formed a community. We trade together. We have a weekly soko. We have a vision to raise $1,000 millionaire couples. Not just people who are rich, but people who understand their kingdom purpose. They understand why God created them, brought them together as a couple, and they are working together to achieve that purpose. And that's sort of the invitation that we are making. There are many of us who are alumni on this call. That's the invitation we're making to all our guests, that you would consider signing up for the course. And if you go on the website, it's there, the link is there. It'll give you, it answers a lot of questions. So just going through the website, you'll be able to see a lot of the questions. But the course, for those who heard earlier, there's actually an installment for those who need it. And so you can pay 2,000 shillings or $20 to just register, and then pay the balance in 3 equal installments. And you can do it in, as you can see, with different currencies. So this will be helpful for you wherever you're signing in from. So I think I just want to leave it there and say thank you so much for being with us. Next week we have one final seminar for this season, and it's called the 5 family dynamics that sabotage your financial success as a family. The 5 family dynamics that will sabotage your financial success as a family. So I just want to put that out there next week. Please don't miss it. It's going to be at the same time, 7:30 on Thursday night. And what we're doing is just giving this information for free to the public. But during the whole season, we actually have in-house webinars like this that are for the benefit of the community. But then what we do is we open them up like now, in a season like now, just to let other people know what we're doing, because we don't want to keep a good thing to ourselves. And so please make sure next week you're here. If you've got family members who need to be here, if you've got people who owe you money who need to be here, if you've got just friends who need to be here, make sure that you send them that flyer when it comes to you. And let's make sure that we just fill this space with people who need to be here. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Louis. Or Dr. Louis, do you have any announcements, or can I?
No, you can pray for us, Pastor.
All right. So I'm going to ask my lovely other half to just speak a blessing over us and our families as we go into the evening.
Yeah, Father, we are thankful for this evening. Thank you, Lord, that everyone who has been on this call, they are not here by mistake, but that, Lord, you would have them just getting this information. Thank you that even in Couples and Money, we are talking about financial freedom for families, just so that we can get to do what you have called us to do, the purpose that you have created us for. So, Father, I'm praying that even as we have learned these things, just give us the insights and the wisdom to apply them. And even as we prepare for next week, we're just asking, Lord, that we just have an amazing time, not just of learning, but even of actioning, whether it's taking the class or doing the next thing that we need to, even as we understand the times that we're living in. So, Father, we bless you and thank you, for we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
We want to challenge you, do at least one thing. What is the one thing that you've been challenged tonight that you want to do as a couple, as practice of what you've learned? Because you learn what you practice. So from us at Couples and Money, from all of us at Couples and Money, Dr. Louis, who is our host, did a fantastic job. Our technical team behind the scenes, with George running the tech, Persis, who is our social administrator, all the facilitators and the alumni of Couples and Money, and our guests. We thank you all, and we just want to say good night.
Good night.